All right. And we're recording. Okay. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So, this is the start of our 10-week series on, oh, shoot, Melody's calling me. This is the start of our 10-week series on personal development. We are reading Developing the Leader Within You. So the reason we decided to break this up into smaller pieces was, we tried reading it all at the same time, and there was just way too much good information to share, and it really didn't allow us to dive into it deep and really study it and really apply it. So I hope you guys are excited about this as I am. But I wanted to share for just a moment for those listening to the playback and want to join us later on. Feel free to join us at any point in this series. I think you would still be able to get some good stuff out of it. But the book is John Maxwell, Develop the Leader Within You. And I wanted to show you guys the workbook. This is the workbook. I ordered this a week ago. I just got it yesterday. I love the workbook. And if you haven't picked up the workbook, I think this is a really great way to really study this. It outlines for you kind of some great questions to ask yourself, some application type questions. And the way it's broken up, which is really cool, it's broken up exactly the way we're studying it. So it breaks down a chapter at a time, and then a chapter at a time and a week at a time. And then it splits up that chapter into 5 days. So this will allow you to listen to the audio of the chapter, read the book of the chapter, and then come to the workbook and actually, each day have a different little assignment to do. Does anybody else have the workbook?
No.
Not yet?
No, I'm going to order it though. That's definitely.
Okay. Yeah, it was really good. And it does have a lot of text in it too. So if you've already read the chapter in the book or listened to the audio, there's some repeat in there. It's not the full chapter of text, but you do get a little extra. And then there's some, like I said, there's some really great questions in there. So I want to open it up to you guys to share, kind of what some of your takeaways were on chapter 1. Chapter 1 was really defining what a leader is. And, kind of what he said in his book was that, leadership is defined by influence and influence others. And that's really what the chapter was all about, and kind of breaking down the 5 different levels of leadership. So I thought that was really cool. But let's open it up. And then I have some discussion questions that are in the workbook that we can kind of open it up to those different discussion questions as well. So who wants to share?
I'll go ahead and share.
Okay, thanks, Craig.
For me, it was interesting because there's definitely a difference in giving advice and then going ahead and being a leader, and I'm starting to really see that. It's kind of like I'm in this business now for a year and almost 2 years, I guess. And I think in the beginning stages of me being a coach, I was more just giving advice. And now I'm seeing that, you really need to really care for people and really get into, and Jamil says this, all the time, well, what's their why? What's their why? And if you're not caring for the person, it's like, well, yeah, the system's here set up, go and do this, you can do that. But really, to be a true leader, you do have to care for people and care for what they want, and really, be concerned that you're doing the right things, being educated like we're doing right now, to be able to give it to those people so you can help them. And that's really what I'm getting out of this is, as a parent, I'm a leader, and I'm sure that I'm in different stages with my children all the time, because sometimes they're children. But they're adult children, as a parent. And I don't know if very many of you actually have adult children now, but, there is a difference between you're in the management stage, and then you ultimately go to the consulting stage. But because you love them, you hopefully are their biggest leader in their life. And so I got a lot out of it. It was an awesome thing.
Good. Thanks for sharing, Craig.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to share?
I do.
Hi, Natalie.
Like I said, I read it to my 4-year-old as her bedtime story. So, but I think the thing that was most interesting to me, and I just underlined it, was that it said even the most introverted individual will influence 10,000 other people during his or her lifetime. I thought that was like amazing. Yes. And we're obviously not introverted, so you know how many people you influence. Like, I just thought that was an amazing fact. So I just wanted to share that.
Awesome. And then it really talked about, you know, that everybody is a leader, right? And, you know, it's really just skills that we're developing. Everybody can be taught how to be a leader. But yeah, I love that quote too. I underlined that. And we do have a lot of introverted people in our business. I don't know if you think about some of our coaches, we really do, you know, and you think about some of the fears that some of us have and the chatter that's in our head about talking to people. We definitely have some introverts, but nevertheless, you know, they're still able to really, you know, quiet the chatter and focus on those skills and really grow into who they want to be. All right, who else wants to share? Okay, I'll share.
Can I just say a few words?
Oh yeah, JC.
Okay, so what really caught my attention was the analogy they used based on an author that wrote a book, which John Maxwell was reading, where they give an example of the sandhill cranes, you know, the birds that fly across continents, where they say they rotate leadership. They choose to leaders that can handle turbulence, and they hung affirmation to leaders. And, you know, finally, it's, you know, leading this influence. So why that was kind of cool for me to kind of understand a little better, because I feel like, you know, in this business, yes, you are out there making the offering to your clients, you know, like Jamil says many times, the 5-in-1 formula on everything, and including the coaching. So you are offering the option of becoming a coach to someone, but then it's because you've also spotted some skills on this individual, you know. And the awesome thing about this business is that yes, you're getting the training, but yeah, you're actually watching leaders, you know, take turns. For instance, we're talking about Jamil and then Justin, you know, leading the path. And yes, there are other people pushing hard and trying to also develop their skills to be able to lead by example. Because, you know, obviously, if you pick up the skills and be able to talk to people, then your circle of influence just grows bigger and bigger, because they obviously see that you are trying hard to learn. And this very important skills.
What's that?
Good morning, Melody.
Sorry, I don't know how to shut that off. You changed the meeting ID on me. I was on the other one since 5:57.
Sorry, girl.
That's okay.
Okay, sorry, JC.
Yeah, no worries. So
Melody just really wanted to say hi.
Hey, man.
Sorry, I have to figure out how to mute myself.
Well, let me figure that out for you.
Okay. Did you mute me?
I don't know how to do it.
Long Beach ones, and then give you a Wilmington. I guess it's arson, you know.
Okay, just a second, JC.
No worries.
Melody, there you are. Okay, all right, go ahead. Sorry.
So it's pretty cool to see yourself develop into this awesome leader, simply because you want to not only excel in life, but also want to be able to be a role model for someone. And it begins in the house, like Greg says. You know, you have children, then you educate them, you kind of are setting the bar kind of high for them, but also knowing that there is support for them along the way. You know what I mean? So as coaches, it's the same thing. We got this big time leaders out there, just so passionate, and then you just hear it every time they speak. You know what I mean? How they emulate this passion and then this desire for changing somebody's life. So yes, it's a cool example when they talk about this sandhill trains where they just rotate the leadership, and then that potentially can be you, so in the meantime, and yet you're cheering on for them and then giving them the support that they need, because, even as a leader, you want to understand that you want to also get that from the people that are watching you, is full support and approval of what you're doing, and also constructive criticism to become a better person, and be open-minded for that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Okay, I want to pull some of these discussion questions that came out of the chapter, because I think that'll really help us, apply what we've learned and what the different concepts were. So looking at the 5 levels of leadership, do you guys know what the 5 are? Do you remember?
Yes.
2 is relationship.
Yes. Sorry, Nicole.
So what's the first one?
Position.
Position. Okay.
Position.
And what does that one mean?
That one would be like your boss, that they're actually given their position of leadership. That doesn't make them a leader, though.
Right.
A title, a rank.
So what would that be for us?
A rank.
I guess, yeah, it could be a rank.
That's
Could
a
be.
bottom. You mean as in like TSFL or just in general?
I'm thinking TSFL. I mean, of
I
course,
would
we
say
could
just
have
being the health coach.
everything. Yeah. So
Just being a coach.
we're health coaches, we're certified health coaches, or I think rank too, because some people might look to us and go, oh, wow, you're an executive director, you're a regional director, and maybe they just respect the title, and they follow in that sense because we have the title. But yeah, that's kind of what I thought of when I thought of that level. So why is that one considered the first level? Why do you think?
Because you haven't developed a relationship with them yet. That's the key thing there. So you're absolutely right. Even though you went and did your work and got executive director based on your skills of getting 25 clients, somebody can look at that and they can respect you and then listen to what you have to say, because you have accomplished something, but they don't know you yet.
Right.
And there is a difference.
Exactly. And I think, the same thing applies to our clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we first start out a client, maybe we haven't hit that relationship level with them yet, but they're coming to us because we have that title of health coach. They want our help, but we need to move it beyond this level, right? Isn't that what you guys got out of this level? Is this is not a level you want to stay at, right?
Right.
Okay. What's our next level?
Permission.
And what does that one mean?
That's when you're starting to build those relationships. Like Craig had touched on earlier. You really do have to get into their why and start caring for people and loving people. And, they're not going to, trust is not going to be there. They're not going to be following you if the trust isn't there and the relationship isn't there yet. So that's a big one. That's a huge one. That's a huge piece of the puzzle. Not switching gears at all to your book at all, but this book, How Successful People Read, also by John Maxwell. Jamil had given this to Brian and I at Anaheim Convention, and it's a little one. It's a little baby book. But this is literally, it's the 5 steps of leadership. This whole book
cool.
really breaks it down, just for anybody who wants to kind of delve in a little bit more. But yeah, no, this is a little good. I actually busted this little guy out for chapter 1.
So what did this, when you guys were looking into these different levels, did it make you think about where you're at with different people, either clients in your business or coaches in your business?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I in fact, I was thinking about this just with, I like with JC. I met JC when I was already in the business, and or actually Yeah, I mean, we started developing a relationship. I didn't really have a prior relationship with him too much to speak of. I met him at Lowe's. I actually bought all my flooring from him and developed a relationship. And so, there was a connection there, obviously, because he's here now. But and then Sally's on the phone here, and I've known Sally for 8 years. So there's obviously different relationships that you have with different coaches and different clients. And I think it's really important. What I got out of the book is, look and really think about your relationships. Think about where you are there, because then you'll know where you need to go ahead and what you need to work on.
Absolutely.
Some of us, myself included, just kind of go day to day, not really analyzing, because I'm not so much of an analytical type of person in some areas of my life as opposed to other areas. And so it's like, I think I really need to be a student of the business and really see where my relationships are, where I need to work on them, find out, what they want. Because if I can find out what they want, then they'll even trust me more when I start to help them with it, which I think really gets into the next level.
Mm-hmm. So tell me again, our second level is, what is that one called?
Permission.
Okay. So what's the next level?
Production.
Okay. So this is where I really started thinking, is between these two levels. So what did this make you guys think about?
We go from clients and we integrate them into becoming coaches,
Mm-hmm.
or we look at who are candidates to become coaches, because by this time, in level 2, it says that you can love people without leading them, but you can't lead others without loving them. And I think when you're doing the 5-in-1, you love on them. We always love on our clients, and then it starts switching over to, they start piquing some interest, like, oh, well, tell me about coaching, or you do a CSC, and then they start going out there and pretty much duplicating you. And John talks about Big Mo, and I love Big Mo, because when Big Mo gets in the show, it's over. Momentum. And he starts talking about results, production, and I was looking at my notes. So that's,
yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, what's the basis of the production level? What do you have to be in that level?
Look at my notes. Hold on. You have to have a team.
Yeah. Exactly.
A team of coaches. That's where my notes fell. Crap.
I think as you help your group and your coaches rank up, that's production.
So in a nutshell, guys, I will say that it's doing more than what is expected of you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Yeah, that's very true.
Yep.
That's very true. Think about Justin, his relationship with Jamil. What has Jamil done he would follow Justin would follow Jamil anywhere because of the effect that he's had and the production that he's created and helping Justin. I think that's production.
And Jamil just said, you need trust. So true. So key.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing about production, just looking back at my notes on this, is you have to have a goal. And that's really the biggest part of that phase, is just having a goal. So we can think about that with our clients and having a weight loss goal, or having a goal to sleep better, whatever their goals are, and then getting them to that production level where they're actually having those results. They're achieving their goals, right? Because we've developed that relationship, we've nurtured them, we've helped them grow to that next level. And then on the coaching side, with our coaches, is really helping them, when we talk to them about their why, we're in that relationship level. I keep forgetting the second level, the name of the second level. Permission. Okay. So with the permission, with our coaches, this was my big aha during when I was reading this, is, they talked about how you can't skip levels, right? You know, we start at the position, we've got the title, we're their health coaches. And I caught myself, because in the workbook, it asked us to list out, the people that we're leading, and to really think about what their purpose is and what their why is, and list it out, and then highlight the ones that you realize you need to go back to and actually find out. And I had that on all of them, on all of my people. I was like, wow. So I'm trying to get them to this production level. They have goals. I'm trying to help them get there. But I realize I've got to go back to that relationship level, the permission level, and really nurture that relationship and find out their why and find out what's motivating them. So it'll make it much easier to help them in that production phase. So, but that was really big for me, is going back and going, okay, I've got some work to do on that level before I can even expect production or help them with production. Does that make sense?
Me too, Nicole. Me too. I'm there, girl. Yep.
Yeah. But that's the cool thing about this. And that's what, I want you guys to do when we're reading this, is to really think about this and think about those people, and really think about, okay, how do I go back and how do I build that relationship with that person? How is it that I don't know what their why is, or I don't know what they need? That was the biggest thing. It was like, what do your people need? What do your clients need? What do your coaches need? If you don't know what that is, you can't expect results. You can't expect production. So it made me realize where I'm at. And I think that was the biggest thing in this, was always know what level you're at with people. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody want to add anything on that level, the production level? Kind of what it made you guys think of?
Well, just in regards to, obviously, kind of mastering every level of an advancement there is in our business setup, is to don't forget about the processes. You know what I mean? So important to emphasize on why people get so far in the business is because they got good at the processes. You know what I mean? And they were able to duplicate them. So if it's worked for them, why change things, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that Craig and I talk about. Try to go ahead and get, achieve that closeness with your coaches, to be able to explain and get them to understand how important that is. And it's challenging, it is, but you know what? By all means, it will have a huge payoff if you can get that to get going with them. Definitely, because it makes your work easier and theirs. It's not just a one-way thing. You know what I mean? It's everybody benefiting from following the processes. Going back to, going the extra mile. So if you have to sometimes spend a little more time with them to explain this, you know what? It is time well invested.
I think also, it's important to constantly be monitoring and analyzing where you are with them as well, because you can be in the production level, whether it's a client or a coach, and then you go backwards as well. And we've all seen this. We've all seen our clients pull back from us, and when they need us the absolute most and they feel bad about themselves, ashamed or whatnot. And then really that's when they need to be loved on the most. But it's hard. They don't return your calls. They don't return your texts, and you feel for them. And so definitely, I know we all have that in our business.
That's such a good point, is that you can flip levels. Really good point. And then by knowing that, you know exactly what you need to do. If you had a client that was producing, if you had a coach that was producing and something happens, they slip back, you've got to get back down to the relationship level, the permission level, and get back into just loving them. I love that. Okay. What's our fourth level? This is another people development. So what is this level about?
This is where it talks about you winning people's heart by helping them grow personally. I mean, point in case, you look at Jamil and Justin. You look at Bernie, look at Craig Chapman and the team that he has. I think that's the level that we're all falling into as we grow our team and we get better. I mean, I guess the best example is Kim Fisk and all the team that she has. Maybe not indirectly, but the people that are completely directly to her. I think that's where that level, people development, helping people go from point A to point B on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Most of us can probably only count on one hand, the people that if you're in a pinch, they would do absolutely anything for you. And I see that in myself developing with JC. I see that with, me and Jamil. I mean, if he needed something, I'd be there in a pinch. I mean, look how he's changed my life. And I think this level, this fourth level, takes, some time to develop, but I think it's an incredible level to be involved in somebody's life like this is pretty cool. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, our mentors, this is exactly who I thought of, when I was reading this is, the influence that they have on us and the fact that we're following because of, the example that they've set. Yeah, I mean, just all the names you mentioned, JC, Jamil was the first one that came to mind for me is, I think that we're at that level of the relationship where, he's helping me grow in my leadership skills. And that's what we're all striving to be as business coaches and mentor coaches, right? Is we want followers, you have to have followers to lead. But to have followers that will be able to grow. And that's the duplicatable side of this business, right? Is being able to develop people so that you can step back and the business is still working for you. So good stuff. And what's our final level?
Just the one thing that in regards to what you said is like ordinary people becoming extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
For people who think health is not important, becoming the top priority, and just being able to be there for them to watch that happen. It's also a reference to where it says leading it begins with the heart. So,
yeah,
cool stuff.
Yeah, I'll share something with you guys. I know, and this really impressed me so much. Is I was talking to Priscilla, and you guys know she just recently had a baby within the last few months. And I was talking to her, and she had mentioned that Jamil had actually reached out, and because he knew that she was going through some struggles with her baby, and that he said, "Hey, let Amanda and I come over. And you know what? We'll help you clean the house. You can go ahead and just leave the house for a couple hours, grab some lunch, just have some downtime, and we'll take care of it." And I was just like, wow. That was like, just blew my mind, because I never, ever would have thought of that myself, ever. And it's just that really, and he wasn't, no one knew. He was doing this for any type of recognition whatsoever. He was doing this because he truly cares for people. And I'm just thinking how blessed I was to have him as my mentor coach, as we all are. Yeah. And just to have that mental shift to, be thinking of this one person over here when you literally have, hundreds of coaches across the country, and to be able to say, yeah, hey, you need some help? Let me take you under my wings here and let me give you some time to yourself. That's like pretty amazing. That's an example of a leader.
Yep, absolutely. And he's done that, he's done that with me too. When I pulled back from the business and I pulled back from just my own health, is just that simple phone call of, hey, I've been thinking about you and I miss you, and nothing about like, get it going, girl. Like, what's going on with your business? Like, produce, it's getting back to that relationship level and just showing that you genuinely care about somebody. And I love that. We need to be like that, and that's what's really going to help us grow as leaders. Love it. Okay. Our final level is, just in reading, is one that not many get to, right? What is that last level?
I wrote it down, but I can't read my writing right now.
Personhood.
Personhood.
Yep.
So tell me about that one.
People follow because of who you are and what you represent. So that's when you're at the peak where it's more of a large organizational type of thing where you're really impacting. You're actually probably changing policy. Very few of us will get there because it takes years and years.
Yeah. Does anybody come to mind in our business that's at this level?
Kim Fisk, Dr. A, Dan Bell,
our top leaders.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So good stuff, you guys. Thank you all for sharing. I want to wrap it up because it's 6:40 now. Time flies when you're having fun. But good stuff out of this chapter, yeah?
Yeah. I like how you're doing this. It's covering one book in one Zoom. It's I don't know if we get as much out of it as dissecting.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And that's why I highly recommend, getting the workbook. So you can really do those activities, not to plug the workbook, but you know what I'm saying? It's, sometimes, like, I know for me, like, I can read a book, but, getting you to think about what are some of those questions you can ask yourself, who are those people that you should be thinking about during these different parts. That's what really, really helped me understand it and apply it. And that's really the purpose of this, right? It's not just to read it and to move on and say we read it, like, woohoo, I read John Maxwell's book. But, how is this really going to help us grow as leaders? And you have to study it. You have to study it. You have to do the work. You have to read it again, listen to it again, that type of thing. So, I love it. So next week, obviously chapter 2. So chapter 2 is on priorities. Do we have any volunteers that want to lead next Monday's Zoom on this chapter?
I'll go ahead.
Okay. You're it, Craig. And if you want to get with me on some of the workbook lessons, it'll have some questions and things like that maybe we can share throughout the week for those that don't have the workbook. Just some like thought-provoking activities. And then I would say homework for everybody. I did supply the link for it. Let's see if we can pick up that workbook this week and really to help us. We're going to be doing this for 10 weeks. I think it was $16. Business write-off. It's going to be well worth it.
Did you see?
I ordered mine.
Yay! What was that, Craig?
I know, it'll be here Wednesday. Woohoo!
Okay. Go, Melody!
Yay!
All right. You just volunteered to go ahead and lead the
week
third
3.
week. Yeah, week 3.
I can't lead when I'm working. I can't Zoom. So you guys, I'm off the hook on that. I'm sorry, but I will participate, especially now that I know the right link.
Okay. That's good. Did you say that you had the link to the workbook on the structural tension? Is that
on the invite, I just provided the link to Amazon where you can purchase the workbook. Yeah. Okay, cool. I don't know if it's anywhere online for free. I wouldn't imagine. But
you're so efficient.
I try. Try to make sure we got the right Zoom numbers and all that.
Yep. Very good.
I'll change it in my calendar. It'll be right next week.
All righty. All right. Any final thoughts, you guys?
Just in closing, I'll leave you guys with this. And this is not the reason why you motivated me to be on this. The only time I've done this kind of stuff is at church. We actually read a book with, couples. And it was pretty cool. So I'm definitely motivated to do this more and more. But then Jamil said to me, you know what, bud, I have a bunch of books and I read a bunch of books. They're all great, I've learned a lot from them. And what I came to realize is that a lot of them have the same meaning. It's just the wording is what changes. So one book that really impacted my life and my business is this one we're reading. So I'll tell you what, he mentioned to me that you were going to begin this a Zoom call on Mondays, and he's like, it's two things you're going to get from the book. But also, what a great way to start your week, like Monday, 6 a.m., reading an awesome book that's made such an impact for me. So, you know what, if it's of any help to you, I would highly suggest you jump on that. So, you know what, I think we all are in the right mindset here and all want to grow our businesses. So I definitely, I'm definitely looking forward to getting a lot of, learning a lot from this. So I'm glad to be here and share with you guys my thoughts on this.
Oh, thanks, JC. And we all learn from each other, so I think that's why we do things like this is, we learn by teaching. It's one thing to study it and to do activities with it, but it's another thing to share it. It just further, reinforces what we're learning and how we're applying it. We get some great ideas from each other. So thanks, you guys. I love this. No, we're a little tired at 6 a.m., but well, for some, Melody's up at 3.
Yeah, no, I'm up at 1:45. Can I add what I got out of that?
Oh.
I missed the beginning. And you guys might have already covered it. What I got is like when he was saying it's like a pyramid, like what you learn, and if your foundation is not stable, your pyramid crumbles. So just to remember to go back to your roots and what you're doing in your business and with your clients, and not forget to connect with them, because if you lose that connection, it'll start to crumble. And that's one thing I text my clients all the time, but I'm like, maybe I need to get on the phone more with them and not just do a text, take a little more time with them. I think that would be more beneficial instead of doing what's actually easiest for me. It's just because it's easier for me to text them doesn't mean it's going to make the best impact on their life. So that's kind of one of the things I got, just to be a good influence, you've got to sometimes go out of your comfort zone and just, get on the phone and, be more personal.
Yep. That's great. So since you mentioned that, Melody, is there anybody that kind of after reading this chapter and thinking through everything that you just thought, you know what, hey, this week I've really got to do this. This is what I'm going to do.
Well, it did come to me, but more like for family life, it's just like trying to connect with my daughter more. Not, I feel like I skipped from level 1 to level 3 with her. Mm-hmm. And so I got to figure out how to get to more like level 2 with her. So she'll actually quit shutting the door in my face every time I bring something up to her. She shuts me down. So I think that's it's in business and it's also in family. So that's something that I've got to figure out how to get over that hump. That's one of the things that I struggle with. And so the business, it seems to be easier, but that's part of my foundation is my family. So that's one thing I need to really work on.
I think most of us need to hit the refresh button on a lot of people, our clients and coaches, and really find out what their why is again. I mean, I think what would be really cool is we collectively as a group this week really reached out and we really defined people in our groups what their why is. And, because how many of us absolutely know everybody's why that's in our group? And if we're leaders, we should know. In closing, I'll tell you guys this. This is interesting. And my first biggest takeaway from this was this first chapter was, I've been saying this for 30 years. There's only 2 things you leave behind on this earth. One is your offspring, and the other is the positive or negative influence you've had on other people's lives. And influence, that's leadership, right?
Right.
Yeah. So.
Awesome.
Good point, Craig.
Okay, so this week, you guys, we're going to read chapter 2. And then just to piggyback off of what Craig said, let's all go back to our clients. We all do weekly check-ins with our clients, right? And just really get back to that permission level and find out what their why is. What do they need from us? What can we learn from them, right? And the same thing with our coaches. Get back to that level. What do they need? I love it. All right, you guys, have an awesome week and Monday. Can't wait to see you guys again next week.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Nicole.
And thank you, Craig, for
Thank you.
leading next week.
Okay, you're welcome. You're
Okay.
going to be on though, right?
Of course.
You're going to hold my hand, right?
Of course.
All right, good.